Hi, welcome to my living room floor. This is Liam Bowler and Dynamic Alignment Bodywork, or the Body Awake, or however you're finding this video. I want to show just a couple examples of exercises where you're hitting an earlier barrier, and emphasis on maybe depending on where you heard this, you already know this part, but emphasis on this is not like a particular exercise that is more conducive to hitting an earlier barrier than another. It's one of nearly infinite examples. And just a quick why you might want to play with earlier barriers. Essentially, you could think anatomically, you're working with you're emphasizing different parts of your that's my neighbor emphasizing different parts of your anatomy, of your body, of your vibrational system, your energetic system, however you want to think about that. So I think that's an especially potent question for people with overuse injuries or chronic pain, where a lot of times we just think more of the same thing is going to heal. And if it does, great. But a lot of times it doesn't, right? So here's an example. I'm going to lie on my back and put my leg up. I kind of prearranged so my knees are bent, and this in yoga, I'm going to keep my left leg bent, but it's straight up, and I can, grab a hold of this leg with a strap or something. It's called Supta Parangushtasana. You also just think of like a hamstring stretch. So what I'm going to do here, notice, so here's phase one, right? If I just think, I'm going to put my foot to the ceiling and kind of lock out my leg and get it straight. Easy, okay? I'm pressing up, and I'm here. I'm going to more delicately nuance something that is very small in terms of range of motion, but can have a really profound impact on depth. So I'm thinking a couple things might be helpful cues. One is using my femoral head to kind of grab the fascia and the deep, maybe the dura of the spinal cord, the connective tissue covering of the spinal cord, grab the fascia of my guts and sort of draw it downward. That could be one thought. And another, to help me find that, I might take my upper leg bone and just I'm doing this motion, but very subtly. I'm sort of bending my knee and just helping this whole thing settle into the ground. So here's when I do that, and I can okay, I'm clenching a little less, I can feel it. And then from that place, if I keep an eye on this, and then I start to think press to the ceiling, now I'm at a barrier right here. I don't know if you can see my legs shaking. If I really start to lean into it. So I'm thinking this keeps dropping open, and I can sort of feel it has a hold of the bottom of my guts, and it's kind of drawing everything down. And it's just a different experience. You won't even go into what's better, what's worse, right? But it's totally different. So again, here's option one. I think straighten my leg up to the ceiling. Option two, I'll do it without my hands this time. I'm thinking soften and draw up, and more like a tree that's growing up, or like a plant that's growing from this broad soil. And then I'm at, again, this barrier here, and I'm really pressing into it, so maybe you can see that difference in aesthetic. At any point, oddly, I can sort of just drop this, right? Even though I started it, I might just be like, okay, straighten the leg, punk, and I can do it. But if I'm looking for this earlier barrier, I can kind of scoop around at different angles, wow, I can find it. So kind of same idea with just raising up an arm. Right, so here I'm sitting down. I think, okay, if I just bring my arm up overhead, even my ribs, use my hand here. My ribs can be neutral, so I'm just doing this shoulder flexion as best as I can just get a test. So here's this, great. If I pay attention to this sort of circuit breaker or headwaters of a river, however you want to think of it, or both, at the shoulder girdle, and just lightly add some three-dimensional in all directions, like a fluid pressure tension sort of, tensing out. So I get a little space. Really exaggerated, I'll be doing this, but I'm just putting the dura, the nerves, I can think I'm kind of drawing, if here I was drawing the guts, here I might catch a hold of the fascia of the upper lung. At least that's the metaphor, to catch that tissue in the upper lung. So I could do that here. So I just have that little bit, and now I start to raise my arm up. Whew, I'm at a barrier right here. And it can be a little funny to describe how it feels, but I feel a sort of fascial barrier in my lungs. again, there's this kind of quietness to it, a subtlety in finding it, but it would be a mistake to think that I just need to stay there, right? Once I found that, then I can just do the same kind of stretch. I can really start to press away my arm up overhead, and I'm really feeling that in these mid ribs for me and my particular, history and anatomy and all that. And so I really feel in the lung is a good reminder to breathe into that space. Again, at any point, I can kind of ditch that and just go, oh, okay, arm up overhead. But because I'm searching for it, a little bit of three-dimensional whole body, kind of this is a gateway between my hand and my heart, my lungs, everything, head to toe. I just tense that whole system a little bit, the whole web. And then I start to lift, and again, I'm right at a barrier here. I can play with rotations and lifting. So in my experience, this is I don't know about hard, but it can be an easy thing to miss. When I do this in especially the leg one in workshops or when I'm teaching yoga, I find a lot of even, very aware and embodied students, you need to step way, 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 way back from where you think you should go. It's not a lift your arm up overhead and then try and find it thing. It's start from neutral and then start playing with the thing. Start with in that first example, my knees are bent and neutral and the settling, and then grow the tree up. I find it's really easy to miss, and a lot of times it's not until my hands are on people to sort of help them feel it somatically that it's oh. And even someone very, very flexible might hit a barrier like I just did, here, or on my back. They might hit a barrier something like this. Your leg might be there when they can easily, bring their foot up to their head or do the standing splits. Just works a different system, emphasizes a different system. So I hope this is helpful. Cheers.